Hello, 8th graders at Al Muhammadiyya School and Kindergarten. I hope you are all doing great and in good health. Today we are going to continue with Unit 9 topics. As you know, we started with crimes. This time we're going to discuss crimes and criminals. You can find these in your student book, page 80. Burglary. Illegal entry of a building with intent to commit a crime, especially theft. Fraud. Wrongful or criminal deception intended to result in financial or personal gain. Joyride. Driving or riding in a stolen vehicle, most commonly a car, with no particular goal other than the pleasure or thrill of doing so. Murder. The unlawful killing of another human without justification or valid excuse. Rob. To steal money or property from a person, a bank, etc. Shoplift. Steal goods from a shop while pretending to be a customer. Theft is the taking of another person's property or services without that person's permission. Vandalism. Action involving deliberate destruction or damage to public or private properties. Deliberate means that you have the intention to do that damage. You mean to do it. After we have been introduced to different crimes and their meanings, let's try to solve the pictures together. You can find this activity in your student book, page 80. Picture number 1. Someone is trying to get into a house, a company maybe. What do we call this crime? Burglary. Picture number 2. You can see this is a bus station. People have broken the glass. What do we call this crime? Vandalism. Yes. Picture number 3. As you can see, these two men are looking inside the cars to see if anybody left the keys. If they didn't find any keys, they might break the glass and steal those cars. What is this crime called? Joyride. Picture number 4. As you can see, there is a man holding a gun, an armed man who's trying to shoot another man. If he didn't give him what he wanted, what's this crime? He's forcing the man to give him money. Robbery. Yes. Five. This is a lady in a supermarket. She is pretending to buy things, but actually she is not. She is putting a product inside her bag without anybody noticing. What's the name of this crime? Shoplifting. Exercise 2. Match the extracts from the newspaper reports with the photos. In this activity, you can see the letters A, B, C, D, and E. These are all headlines from newspaper reports. You're going to try to match those with the pictures from exercise 2. Let's start. A. Joyriders stole 4 cars in Oxford last night. What's the appropriate picture for that? Yes, 3. B. A shoplifter stole a DVD from a department store. Which is the appropriate picture? 5. Yes. C. The police are questioning a group of vandals who smashed Best Shelter in the town center. Which is the appropriate picture? 2. D. Police arrested a burglar who broke into 3 houses on Friday evening. Which is the appropriate picture? 1. E. Robbers robbed a bank in Liverpool yesterday morning. They took £1,000,000. Which is the appropriate picture? 4. Now we are going to learn the difference between 2 verbs related to crimes, which are rob versus steal. You rob a place or a person. 2 men robbed the bank yesterday. But when we use steal, we say, you steal something from a person or a place. Thieves stole jewelry from the shop. We will continue discussing the student book activities when I see you next time. But remember to do your workbook, page 71. Now, my beloved students, we are going to start a new topic, which is reported speech. This grammar rule is found in your student book, page 81. We are going to start each tense step by step. First thing is I'm going to do a revision, and after that I'm going to tell you how to deal with this tense when you report it. Our first tense is present simple. She is a beautiful girl. Is here is the present simple of the verb to be. So we can use is, am, or are for verb to be when we are talking about it in the present simple. If we are using other action verbs, remember that we use an S at the end of that verb. So here, he walks very fast. Okay? He, she, and it are all dealt in the same way. We have to add an S or ES. Now, when it comes to dealing with plural subjects like they, we, you, we all Don't add any s at the end of the action verb. This is all for affirmative sentences. Now, when we are making a negative sentence, if we have the verb to be, we could easily attach the not to it. I do not have to add any other helping verb. But when it comes to other action verbs like walk or read, I cannot attach not to them. I have to add another helping verb, which is the verb to do. So, because we have a singular subject like he, we usually add does. And with negative, it becomes he doesn't walk very fast. The same goes for they, because we have here a plural subject. In this case, we do not add does, we add do for us to attach it to not. So the sentence becomes, they don't read a book. If we have a question using the verb to be, I easily just change the place of the verb and continue with the sentence. Is she a beautiful girl? But when it comes to other action verbs, again like walk or read, I add their helping verb, which are does and do, and make a sentence. So our question becomes, does he walk fast? If we are talking about a singular subject, and if we're talking about a plural subject, we say, do they read a book weekly? Now, let's have a look on how do we report present simple tense. Let's have a look at sentence number 1. She likes English. As you can see, this is a sentence in the present simple tense because the subject is singular and the verb, the action verb, has an S at the end. So this shows us that the sentence is in the present simple tense. When I want to report or to tell somebody what she said, I could easily just say, she said she liked English. So what happened with the verb? The verb was taken one step to the back. That means if the verb was in the present simple tense, it was transferred or changed into the past simple tense. Let's have a quick look at another example. We help people around the world. How do we change this sentence? We say, they said they helped people around the world. Some of the other changes that occur are changes in pronouns. That means if I am using we, I have to change it to they. And as you can see, the verb is in the present simple tense. We took it one step back and it became past simple. Present continuous. Affirmative form. If you want to write a sentence in the affirmative form, we have to start with the subject. As we know, subjects are he, she, it, they, we, you, and I, and anything that refers to them. That means she can be exchanged for a girl's name. He can be exchanged for a boy's name. It can be exchanged for anything like an animal or an object like a table. Okay, after that, it is followed with verb to be. As you know, the verb to be choices are is, are, and am, and they usually depend on the subject. And finally, we have the main verb, which is usually the verb between brackets that we have. We add to it an ing. Let's read some examples. She is reading a book. They are doing some exercises. I am eating lunch. Now, let's see how do we form a negative sentence. Again, a negative sentence starts with a subject. After that, it is followed by the verb to be plus a not. In this case, because we have already a helping verb, I do not add another one. I just use the one that I have and I attach the not to it. And after that, I follow it by a main verb with an ing. Let's read some examples. She isn't reading a book. We aren't doing some exercises. And I am not eating lunch. I do not use "ament." This is unacceptable in English. Now, let's look at how do we report present continuous tense. Let's have a look at sentence number 1. She is playing football. How do we report what she said? We agreed that we always take the verb one step back. So if it was present continuous, it's going to become past continuous, correct. So how do we report this sentence? We say, she said she was playing football. In this case, because the subject is she, I do not have to change the subject. Sentence number 2. I am writing an essay. Someone wants to report what I said, so how does he do it? What does he say? He says, she said she was writing an essay. In this case, we change the tense from the present continuous to past continuous. Then I change the subject, which was I, into she, because there is somebody who is reporting what teacher Eliza said. So that's why in this case I use she. If we are reporting from someone who is a male, we could easily just say he. Let's have a look at another sentence. They are washing their clothes. How do we report this sentence? Yes. We say she said, he said, we said. Okay, whoever is reporting what those people say, they were washing their clothes. I think it's becoming clear now. Now let's take a look at the present perfect. How do we form a sentence using present perfect? We start with a subject. Subjects are she, he, it, you, I, they, and we, and anything that refers to them. It is followed after that with the helping verb have. The two choices that we have in this case are has and have. After that, it is followed by verb 3. Let's read. She has gone home. I have sent a message. Let's have a look at the negative form. How do I form a negative form using present perfect? I start with the subject. After that, it is followed by has not or have not, depending on the subject. And after that, we follow it by verb 3 and the complement. Let's read. Sarah hasn't seen her friends since Monday. They haven't seen their friends since Monday. Now, Let's have a look on how we report present perfect. We agreed we're going to take the tense that we have one step back. So since we had present perfect, that means it's going to become, yes, past perfect. Let's look at an example. She has finished her homework. How do we report this sentence? Yes. She said she had finished her homework. The final tense we need to work on is past simple. But how do we take the past simple one step back? Again, we change it to past perfect. Let's quickly look at an example. We visited our aunt. How do we report this sentence? Again, we said this is past simple tense. We need to take it one step back. That means we're going to change it to past perfect. How do we structure the sentence in this case? Yes. He said they had visited their aunt. Don't forget to change the subject, which was we, when reporting into they. Another example is, I haven't washed my car. How do we report this sentence? Yes. He said you hadn't washed your car. Now, as you can see, we have certain changes within different pronouns. Please remember to change those pronouns when you change the sentences. Again, some other changes that occur are place and time expressions, like today, now, yesterday, and many other different. Now let's see how much we learned through an exercise. Sentence number 1. He works in a bank. What's the tense of this sentence? Yes, this is present simple. How do I report a present simple tense? Yes, we say he said he worked in a bank. Sentence number 2. I'm coming. What's the tense of this sentence? It is present continuous. How do I report a present continuous tense? Correct, I have to change it into past simple. Can you give me the sentence? Okay, correct. She said he was coming. 3. He hasn't eaten breakfast. What's the tense of this sentence? Yes, present perfect. We agreed. All the present tense tenses are taken one step back. Because it is present perfect, we are going to change it into past perfect. What's the correct answer? Yes. He said he hadn't eaten breakfast. 4. I didn't go to the party. What's the tense of the sentence? Yes, past simple. I have to change it to past perfect. Give me the answer, please. Yes, they said you hadn't gone to the party. Last example, we went out last night. Here you have to pay attention to more than one thing. First, the subject will be changed. After that, we're going to have to change the verb, which is in the past simple. We have to change it into past perfect. And finally, we have a time expression last night. We have to change it. Can you try? Yes, correct. She said they had gone out the night before. So we became they, went became had gone, and finally last night had to be changed to the night before. This is all for reported speech. I wish you all the best, and always follow your dreams and never say never. Please remember to do your homework, which is workbook page 81 and worksheet number 11. I hope to see you soon, your English teacher. Before we start this unit's writing, can you mention some of the previous writings that we took? A note? Yes. We took, yes, letters, formal and informal. We took a leaflet and how to write a leaflet. We took an essay. And finally, we took a book report. In this unit, we're going to discuss a story or writing a story. You can find this topic in your student book, page 82. What is a story? A story is actually a series of related events or experiences, whether they are true or fictional. For us to build a story, we have to have certain story elements. These elements are the ingredients that make a story. What are these? People or animals or any creatures that are within a story are actually called characters. So I cannot have a story without having characters. Another thing is when and where the story takes place. These are called the settings of the story. Another thing that we must have is a problem, because the story is actually built around that problem. And the final part of a story is the solution. The solution is usually how do the characters fix that problem. And in this unit, we're going to try to write a crime story. Start writing your story. Make sure that you make a draft in which you mention the characters, main events, setting, your problem, and the solution. One way of organizing your piece of writing is using time expressions. What are time expressions? They are actually words which we use to order events. They tell us what happened first, what happened next, and what will happen finally. Some of these words are at first, soon, then, one evening, last week, 2 weeks earlier, the following day. As you can see, the word in brackets, you can change them. So you can say one day, last month, 3 years earlier, the following week. The next day is again a time expression. As soon as, immediately, after a while, and in the end. Now, let's have a look at our story, The Careless Thief. One evening last week, Jeremy Wilkins was trying to buy a second-hand sat-nav system for his car from an online auction site. 2 weeks earlier, a thief had stolen the sat-nav system from Jeremy's car. Unfortunately, since the car wasn't locked, the insurance company had refused to replace the system. After a while, Jeremy found some sat-nav systems for sale. As he was looking at them, he was astonished to see his own system for sale. Jeremy immediately bought it and emailed the seller to say that he would come round to his house the following day to collect it. Then he phoned the police. The next day, a police officer called at the man's house. He pretended to be Jeremy. As soon as the man gave him the sat-nav system, the police officer arrested him. So in the end, Jeremy got his system back. Now, let's have a look at our story. What's the name of our story? Correct. The Careless Thief. Can you mention some characters from the story? Yes, we have Jeremy. We have a thief. We have the man from which Jeremy tried to buy the second-hand sat navigating system. Okay, and finally we have the police officer. What do we mean by the following words? Auction site are websites where the price of products or services are determined by the winner bid or by the person who pays the highest price. This is an auction. Insurance company is a company or a business that provides coverage against loss, damage, injury of people or properties. A very important element of a story is the plot. The plot actually shows the sequence of events. So how did our story begin? Our story began when Jeremy's sat navigating system was stolen. After that, he went online to buy another one. By accident, he knew that the person who stole his satellite navigating system is actually selling it online. Finally, he reports that incident and the man is caught. A very good way to show event sequence when you write your plot is using time expressions. Let's look at the story and find out some time expressions. In paragraph 1, we have one evening last week. In paragraph 2, you have 2 weeks earlier. In paragraph 3, we have after a while. And in paragraph 4, we have the next day. You can go through the paragraph again and find some more. What do you need to write a successful story? You need a good title, one that is attractive and interesting. You need to use time expressions like at first, immediately, then, next. You need to make sure that you have all elements of a story that are the characters, time and place, which are the setting. You have a conflict, which is the problem, and a solution. Remember to make it an interesting story by writing an interesting plot. And finally, don't forget to check your spelling, punctuation, grammar, and vocab. Now, let's read through the sample. Holiday photos. One afternoon last summer, Carrie was taking photos on the beach. When she saw two strange men, she noticed them because they weren't wearing beach clothes, and they looked very nervous. The men were standing behind some rocks and looking at something inside a big bag. Carrie hid behind a boat to take a photo. She could see inside the bag. It was full of money. As soon as she had left the beach, Carrie called the police. But by the time the police arrived, the men had gone. That night the TV news said that two men had robbed a bank. They had left their car near a beach and escaped by a boat. 2 weeks later, a policeman visited Carrie's house. He said that they arrested the robbers. The police had put Carrie's photos on the internet, and someone had recognized them. Please make sure that you do your homework, which is your workbook page 73, and remember to write me a nice story on your worksheet number 12. Hope I will see you soon, your English teacher.